But in order to make it really useful, we have to employ another concept called polymorphism. Okay, sounds like a spell Harry Potter would use to change somebody into a parrot, maybe. But polymorphism is just a fancy way of saying that sometimes in the child object or the child class, we override some of those properties and we override some of those methods and we might add things. If we go back to the inheritance example, the traditional inheritance idea, maybe your grandfather leaves you a classic car in his will, one that he's had for a long time and one that he's taken care of and nurtured over the years. If he leaves you the car, then it becomes your car. You have the car, you can drive it or do whatever with it. But you might also decide, well, now that this car is mine, I'm going to give it a little bit of my style, right? I'm going to put some new wheels on there. I'm going to paint it a different color. I might upgrade the stereo. If you're very wealthy, you might say, hey, I'm going to take an electric engine and put it in there, make it an electric, right? Like those $500,000 electric Ford Broncos that have been restored. That would be an example of polymorphism in real life, because you're taking the inheritance, you're taking whatever's inherited, and you're making it your own. So it's kind of like this. If I have a generic shape object, it might have a size, it might have a shape, it might have color. But if I inherit that, if I create child classes based on that, what I might do is I might override some of those things. I might change the shape or change the size or the color or even all three. But there's an inherent similarity or a reuse of some of the things about that shape. So in terms of a model, if we go back to that vehicle idea with the drive and the gas, maybe when I create the truck class as a child of that, I would say, well, a truck, when I drive it, does a couple of things differently. Number one thing a truck does is if it's got something in it, if it has stuff in the truck that it's a payload, it transports that. It takes it with it. The other thing is that the relationship between drive and gas, if I have a truck that's loaded with stuff, is different than the relationship between drive and gas. Let's say if I'm driving a Prius or something, right? So maybe what I need to do is, instead of just having to drive here and here that are exactly what was inherited from the generic vehicle class, maybe what I want to do is override those. I want to redefine drive as in the truck so it uses a little more gas. Maybe I redefine drive in the car so that it uses a little bit less gas. I still have inherited that method, but now it's a little bit specific, a little bit more specific to those types of vehicles. And when I have gas is still gas, so I just inherit that directly. So